There are places where prejudice still hangs in the morning air, disguised as tradition. Places where skin color, humble origins, or simply being different is enough for someone to be judged before they even speak. But in these same forgotten corners of time, there are also men and women who carry within them an integrity greater than any cruel custom. This is the story of a woman who arrived at a ranch carrying only her dignity, and of a man who saw in her what others refused to: humanity. Between the dust of the yard and the silence of the porch, between public humiliation and private redemption, love found its way. Not always with words, but always with truth. Subscribe to the channel for heartwarming stories every day. The Santa Helena Ranch awoke before the sun. It was a sprawling property, with pastures stretching as far as the eye could see, weathered wooden fences, and a two-story farmhouse that had seen better days. The exterior walls, once white, now bore the stains of time and rain, but the structure was solid, much like the man who inhabited it. Joaquim Esteves was 42 and carried himself with the posture of someone who learned early to bear weight. Tall, broad-shouldered, with calloused hands, he managed the ranch with few words and much example. The ranch hands respected him, some out of admiration, others out of fear of that silence that seemed to hold storms. A widower for 7 years, Joaquim maintained his routine as if fulfilling a penance, waking before 5, checking the livestock, fixing what needed fixing, eating alone, and sleeping early. There was no music in the house. There were no laughs. On that June morning, a fog covered the pasture like a gray sheet. Joaquim was on the porch, holding a mug of black coffee, when he heard the truck engine climbing the dirt road. It was the transport that brought seasonal workers now and then, but this time it brought something different, someone different. He frowned. He wasn't expecting anyone. The entrance gate creaked open. Joaquim descended the porch steps slowly, adjusting his leather hat. In the distance, he saw the silhouette of a woman getting out of the truck with a small suitcase in her hands. She wore a simple faded dress and a scarf tied around her hair. Her skin was dark like fertile soil, and her posture was strangely upright for someone arriving from a journey. The 3 ranch hands near the gate stopped what they were doing. One of them, Zé Arnaldo, spat on the ground and muttered something to the others. Low chuckles echoed in the yard. "Well, looky here," one of them drawled. "You think she's lost? Or maybe she's here for handouts," another added, crossing his arms. The woman kept walking. She didn't look around. She didn't respond. She just kept going, the suitcase heavy in her left arm, her eyes fixed on the porch where Joaquim stood. Zé Arnaldo took a step forward, partially blocking her path. "Hey, miss, this ain't no place for your kind. Best head back to the truck before the boss sees you." She stopped, took a deep breath, raised her chin. "I came at the request of Mr. Joaquim Esteves," she said. Her voice was firm, deep, and steady. "I am his wife." The silence that followed was as heavy as the air before a storm. Joaquim set his mug down on the edge of the porch and began walking towards the group. His steps were slow but steady. When he reached them, his eyes, brown and deep, landed first on the ranch hands, then on the woman. "Ignore what these men said," he spoke softly, but each word sounded like an order. "My name is Joaquim, and you must be Helena." She nodded, a flicker of relief crossing her face for a fraction of a second. "I am." Joaquim extended his hand. She hesitated, then took it. His hand was large and rough, but his grip was respectful. "Welcome to the ranch," he said. He turned to the ranch hands, his voice hardening. "This is my wife. Treat her as such. Any disrespect will be considered a personal offense to me. Understood?" The 3 men lowered their heads, murmuring embarrassed agreements. Joaquim took Helena's suitcase without asking and started walking towards the farmhouse. She followed him, feeling the weight of all their eyes burning into her back. Inside the house, the silence was different, cleaner. Joachim placed the suitcase at the foot of the stairs and turned to her. "There's a room upstairs. It's yours. You can rest if you like. We'll talk later." Helena looked around. Simple furniture, polished wooden floors, a large dark wood table. Everything was clean but empty of life. "Why did you do that?" she asked, her voice almost disappearing. "Why did you bring me here?" Joachim took off his hat and hung it on the hook near the door. "Because it was the right thing to do," he said, not meeting her gaze. "And because this house has been lonely for too long." Helena felt something shift inside her chest. It wasn't relief. It wasn't hope. It was something more fragile, more dangerous. The possibility of belonging. The room Joachim offered Helena was in the east corner of the second floor. The window looked out over the pastures, and the morning light streamed in softly, illuminating the iron bed, the worn wooden wardrobe, and the bedside table with a half-burned candle. Everything smelled of stagnant time, but it was impeccably clean. Helena opened her suitcase and took out the few clothes she owned: 2 dresses, a mended skirt, a wool shawl. At the bottom, wrapped in brown paper, was the only object of value she carried: a small prayer book, its pages yellowed and its cover worn. It had belonged to her mother. She sat on the edge of the bed and took a deep breath. She still felt the weight of the hostile stares at the gate, the sharp words. But she also felt the firmness of Joachim's handshake, the quiet authority in his voice. "This is my wife." The phrase echoed in her mind as both a promise and a question. Why had he done this? Downstairs, Joachim had returned to work as if nothing extraordinary had happened. He was repairing a fence near the barn when Zé Arnaldo approached, taking off his hat and twisting it in his hands. "Boss, I wanted to apologize for what happened earlier." Joachim tucked his hammer into his belt and turned. His face showed no anger, only a kind of ancient weariness. "Apologies don't erase what was said, Zé, but they can prevent it from happening again." "I didn't know, boss. I didn't know the lady was—" "It doesn't matter who she is," Joachim interrupted, his voice low but sharp. "Nobody deserves to be treated like that. Nobody. It doesn't matter where they come from, their skin color or what they wear. This is a ranch, not a courtroom." Zé Arnaldo swallowed hard and nodded, backing away in silence. Joachim returned to his work, but his mind was elsewhere. He hadn't lied about Helena being his wife, technically. 2 weeks prior, he'd received a letter from an old family acquaintance, a woman named Mrs. Gable, who lived in town. The letter spoke of Helena, a good-hearted woman, alone in the world who needed a safe harbor. "She's not asking for charity," the letter stated, "just a chance." Mrs. Gable proposed a deal, a marriage of convenience, purely to ensure Helena protection and a roof over her head. Joachim could figure out the rest of their arrangement later. He'd thought about it for days. Loneliness gnawed at him like rust. The house was too empty, the silence too heavy. And perhaps helping someone was a way to give meaning to his repetitive existence. So he agreed. They went to the county clerk's office in town and signed the papers. Mrs. Gable served as the witness. Helena barely spoke, just thanked him with tear-filled eyes. The next day, she came to the ranch. Now she was here, real and present. And Joachim wasn't quite sure what to do with that. The afternoon eased in slowly. Helena came downstairs when the smell of cooking filled the house. Joachim was in the kitchen, stirring a large pot on the wood-burning stove. She stopped in the doorway, surprised. "I can do that," she said. He turned, wiping his hands on a dish towel. "Not today. Today you rest." "I didn't come here to rest." Helena entered the kitchen, moving towards the stove. "I came to work." Joachim watched her. Her arms were crossed, a defensive posture from someone expecting to be turned away. "You came to stay," he corrected gently. "The work can wait." Helena blinked, taken aback. She wasn't used to kindness. They ate dinner in silence, but it wasn't a hostile silence. It was the kind of quiet that leaves room for beginnings. When they finished, Helena stood to wash the dishes. Joachim didn't stop her. He just stood there watching her work with precise, efficient movements. "Thank you," she said, not looking at him. "For what?" "For sticking up for me at the gate." Joachim adjusted his chair and stood. "You don't need to thank me for being treated with respect. That should be natural." When she finally looked at him, Joachim saw something rare: hope mixed with fear. And he decided in that moment that he would do everything in his power to protect that hope. Helena's first days on the ranch were marked by cautious silences and small gestures. She woke before Joachim, started the fire, made coffee, and set the table before he came down. Joachim, in turn, brought extra firewood to the kitchen, fixed the creaky chair, and left wildflowers on her bedroom windowsill without a word. But outside the walls of the farmhouse, the world was less generous. At the town market on Saturdays, Helena felt eyes like needles. Women would detour when they saw her, whispering behind stalls. When she asked for something from a vendor, they'd respond curtly, as if each word cost them dearly. Once, when paying for a handful of oranges, the woman at the stall didn't touch her hand, just placed the change on the wooden counter. Helena gathered the coins without a word, but the humiliation burned. Joachim, following a few steps behind carrying sacks of flour, saw it all. He said nothing then, but on the way back, as the wagon jolted over the dirt road, he broke the silence. "I know it's not easy," he said, gripping the reins firmly. Helena gazed at the fields in the distance, the wind making the fabric of the scarf covering her hair dance. "You don't need to know," she replied, her voice flat. "You don't live it." Joachim pressed his lips together. She was right. "But I'm by your side," he insisted, "and that has to mean something." Helena turned her face to him, and for the first time, Joachim saw anger in her eyes, not at him, but at the world. "It means they look at you differently now too," she said. "Did you notice? In town today, people treated you differently." Joachim thought of the blacksmith's awkward silence, the store owner's coldness. She was right. "I don't care what they think," he said, but his voice came out less confident than he intended. "You should." Helena turned her face back to the road. "Because this will get worse before it gets better." He left a plate of food outside her door and went back downstairs. In the living room, sitting in the chair that had belonged to his father, Joachim stared at the crackling fire in the hearth. His mind drifted back to the early years of his marriage to Beatrice, his late wife. Everything had been simpler then. Beatrice was from the same region, the daughter of farmers, accepted without question. The love between them grew slowly, naturally, like crops in the right season. But with Helena, it was different. There was no time for slow growth. The world was forcing them to choose sides too quickly. Upstairs, Helena sat on the edge of her bed, her prayer book open on her lap. The words blurred before her eyes. She was tired, not from work, but from carrying her own existence like a burden. Why had she come? Why had she accepted this impossible arrangement? Because for the first time, someone had offered something without asking for anything in return. But now she realized Joachim was paying a price she didn't want him to pay. She closed the book and pressed it against her chest. Perhaps it would be better to leave. Perhaps he deserved the peace he had before she arrived. The next morning, Joachim found Helena in the kitchen again, but something about her was different, more withdrawn, more distant. "I was thinking of leaving," she said suddenly, without preamble. Joachim stopped in his tracks, his coffee cup suspended in midair. "Why?" "Because I bring trouble, and you don't deserve that." Joachim placed the cup on the table and moved closer. He stopped about 3 feet away, respecting her space. "Helena," he said, and it was the first time he'd spoken her name with such quiet conviction. "I knew what I was doing when I brought you here. I knew it wouldn't be easy, and I don't regret it. But there's no but," he interrupted her. "You have every right to be here, just like anyone else. And if the world doesn't like it, that's the world's problem." Helena felt her eyes sting. She turned her face away, embarrassed by her own vulnerability. Joachim extended his hand, hesitant. He lightly touched her shoulder. "You're safe here," he promised. "You can believe that." She didn't respond, but she didn't pull away. And in that brief touch, something began to heal. The following weeks brought a new routine. Helena took over the household chores with silent efficiency. She washed, she cooked, she mended clothes that Joachim had worn for years without noticing tears. He, in turn, taught her the secrets of the farm, how to tell when a fence needed reinforcing, how to read the sky before rain, how to calm a nervous horse with low words and steady hands. One Saturday in July, Joachim took her to the big barn. Inside, there were rusty tools, tangled ropes, and in the corner an old loom covered in dust. "It was my mother's," he explained, running his hand over the wood. "She used to weave blankets, towels. After she died, no one touched it." Helena moved closer, curious. She ran her fingers over the dusty threads. "Do you know how to use it?" Joachim asked. "My grandmother taught me." Helena smiled, the first genuine smile since she'd arrived. "It was a long time ago, but I think I still remember." "Then it's yours, if you want it." Helena looked at him, surprised. Joachim shrugged, almost sheepishly. "It's good to have something alive in here again." That same day, Helena cleaned the loom, tightened loose parts, tested the pedals. Joachim brought out wool he found stored in old boxes. And as she began to weave, slowly, hesitantly at first, then with growing confidence, the rhythmic sound of the pedals filled the barn like forgotten music. Joachim stood in the doorway, just watching. There was something sacred about it, as if the farm were finally beginning to breathe again. The afternoons in the field became moments of conversation. While Joachim mended fences or fed the cattle, Helena accompanied him, helping where she could. He spoke little, but when he did, it was always with truth. "My wife, Beatrice, died of a fever," he told her once while fixing a gate. "It was fast. 3 days and she was gone. I never understood why. She was strong, healthy." Helena listened in silence, holding the tools he asked for. "And you've been alone since then?" "Not alone, empty," Joachim corrected. "There's a difference." Helena understood perfectly. She knew emptiness too, the kind that no superficial company could fill. "And why did you agree to bring me here?" she asked, her voice almost fading. "Really?" Joachim stopped what he was doing and looked at her. His eyes, always so controlled, let a flicker of vulnerability show. "Because I was tired of living half a life," he answered, "and because I thought maybe you were too." Helena felt a tightness in her chest. It was the rawest, most beautiful truth anyone had ever spoken to her. One evening after dinner, Helena brought a bowl of pumpkin pudding she'd made from the kitchen. Joachim tasted it and closed his eyes, a sound of approval escaping his lips. "My mother used to make it like this," he said, opening his eyes. "How did you know?" "I didn't." Helena smiled faintly. "It was luck, but it wasn't luck. It was attention." She'd found old handwritten recipes tucked away in the kitchen, and she'd followed one, hoping to get it right. Joachim finished the entire bowl, a rare thing for someone so reserved. Then he stood and went to the cabinet in the living room. He returned with an object wrapped in cloth. "I want you to have this." He extended it to her. Helena unwrapped it carefully. It was a wool shawl, finely woven in the colors of earth and sky. It still smelled of lavender. "Was it hers?" Helena asked, hesitant. "It was, but she would have wanted someone to wear it," Joachim replied. "And you deserve to have something beautiful." Helena hugged the shawl to her chest, touched. Joachim looked away, embarrassed by his own generosity. "Thank you," she whispered. He merely nodded, as if it were nothing, but they both knew it wasn't. That night, Helena went up to her room wrapped in the shawl, feeling for the first time that maybe, just maybe, this place could become a home. August arrived with cool winds and a heavy sky. One morning, Joachim left early to check on the cattle in the farthest pastures. Helena stayed home, working at her loom. The sound of the pedals echoed through the barn when she heard shouts coming from the yard. She ran to the door. Zé Arnaldo and another hand were carrying something. Someone. It was little Johnny, the youngest son of a family who lived on the edge of the ranch. The boy, only 7 years old, had his left arm bent at an unnatural angle, his face pale with pain. "He fell out of the tree!" Zé yelled, desperate. "His arm's broken, and the boss isn't here!" Helena didn't hesitate. She opened the house door and gestured to the kitchen table. "Lay him here, carefully." The men obeyed, surprised by the authority in her voice. Little Johnny was crying softly, trying to be brave. Helena approached, gently touching the boy's face. "It's going to hurt a little, but I'll take care of you. Can you trust me?" The boy nodded, his eyes wet. Helena tore a strip of clean cloth, told Zé to fetch 2 thin wooden slats from the barn and some boiling water. While the men scurried, she examined the arm with care. The fracture was clear, but not exposed. There was a chance. When Zé returned, Helena aligned the boy's arm firmly. He cried out, but she didn't stop. With precise movements, she immobilized the limb using the slats and cloth strips, creating a makeshift but effective splint. "Where did you learn that?" Zé asked, impressed. "My grandmother was a midwife and a healer," Helena replied, not taking her eyes off her work. "She taught me what she knew." She finished tying the splint and gave the boy a warm herbal tea she'd brought from her own bag. Little Johnny drank it, making a face, but soon began to relax. "Now you need to rest," Helena said, brushing the hair from the boy's forehead. "And no more climbing trees, you hear?" He smiled, still pale, but relieved. When Joaquim returned, he found the kitchen transformed into a makeshift infirmary. Helena was sitting beside the boy, who was now asleep. Zé Arnaldo explained everything, his voice full of respect. Joaquim looked at Helena. She raised her eyes, tired but serene. "I did what I could," she said. "He'll need a doctor later, but for now, he's stable." Joaquim approached, inspected the splint. It was professional work. "You saved his arm," he said, his voice low but heavy with emotion. "Maybe even his life." Helena looked away, uncomfortable with the praise. "Anyone would have done the same." "No," Joaquim corrected. "Not anyone. You did." That night, after little Johnny's mother came to pick up her son, crying with gratitude and squeezing Helena's hands tightly, the ranch hand's demeanor changed. Not completely, but enough. Zé Arnaldo especially began to greet Helena with genuine respect, and when she walked through the yard, the men tipped their hats. Helena had earned something more valuable than acceptance. She had earned trust, but not everyone in town felt that way. The following Sunday at Mass, Helena felt eyes on her differently, more intense, more judgmental. The mayor's wife, Donna Lucinda, a woman with her hair pulled into a tight bun, and a perpetual expression of disapproval, whispered loud enough for others to hear, "They say she practices witchcraft, folk healing, godless stuff." Helena heard. Joaquim did too. He turned his head towards Donna Lucinda, his gaze cold. "She saved a child's life," he said loud and clear. "If that's witchcraft, then God grant us more witches." The silence that fell over the church was absolute. Donna Lucinda paled, but said nothing. Joaquim offered Helena his arm, and they walked out of the church with their heads held high. But Helena knew the storm was just beginning. The following week brought a deceptive calm. Helena returned to her loom, Joaquim to the routine of the pastures, but they both felt the tension in the air, like electricity before lightning. On Thursday, an unfamiliar man appeared at the ranch. He wore a dark suit, a tie, and carried a leather briefcase. He introduced himself as Dr. Almeida, a regional health inspector. "I'm here to investigate complaints of illegal medical practice," he said, without preamble, standing on the porch. Joaquim crossed his arms. "There was no illegal practice. There was aid to a child. That will be determined." The inspector opened his briefcase. "I need to speak with Mrs. Helena Esteves." Helena appeared at the door, wiping her hands on a cloth. Her face was calm, but Joachim saw the fear in her eyes. "That's me." The inspector examined her from head to toe with a clinical, cold gaze. "Do you have medical training?" "No." "Then you shouldn't have treated the boy." "He was going to die if I did nothing," Helena replied, her voice firm. "The nearest doctor is 2 hours away. I did what needed to be done." "The law doesn't permit—" "The law wasn't here when the boy was screaming in pain," Joachim interrupted, stepping forward. "I was. She was. And thanks to her, that child has a working arm." The inspector closed his briefcase, visibly annoyed. "I will file a report. If there is a recurrence, there will be legal consequences." He left, leaving a trail of threat. That night, Helena crumbled. Sitting at the kitchen table, she buried her face in her hands. "I should have kept quiet," she mumbled. "I should have let someone else handle him." "And let the boy suffer?" Joaquin sat beside her. "You did the right thing, Helena. And the right thing brought me here." She lifted her face, her eyes red. "Brought me to this place where nobody wants me, where my presence causes you problems. You think I care what they think? You should!" Helena slapped the table. "You have a reputation, Joaquin, a position, and me, I'm just a black woman who showed up out of nowhere with no name, no past worth telling." The silence that followed was heavy. Joaquin took a deep breath. He stood, took a few steps, then returned. He sat down again, closer to her. "Tell me," he said low. "Tell me your past." Helena shook her head. "It won't change anything." "Tell me anyway." She hesitated, but there was something in his eyes, an immense patience, a genuine desire to understand, that made her yield. "I grew up on a farm too," she began, her voice trembling, "but not as an owner, as the daughter of workers. My parents died when I was a child. My grandmother raised me. She taught me to read, to weave, to tend to wounds. When she died, I was alone. I worked in people's homes, cleaning, cooking. I was kicked out of one because the boss's son—" She stopped, taking a deep breath. "Tried to touch me. I fought him off. He lied. They said I seduced him. They threw me out on the street." Joaquin clenched his fists, anger rising. "After that, I went from town to town. Always the same thing. Stares, suspicion, accusations. Until I found Mrs. Irene. She gave me shelter, and when she proposed this arrangement with you, I accepted because I was tired." Helena looked at him, her eyes shining. "Tired of not belonging anywhere. Tired of being invisible, or worse, of being visible only as a threat." Joaquin took her hand, firm, warm. "You are not a threat, and you are not invisible," he said, each word measured. "You are the bravest person I know." Helena sobbed, finally letting the tears fall. Joaquin pulled her into an embrace. Hesitant at first, then firm, she allowed herself to sink into that gesture, that moment of solace. "We'll face this together," he promised. "Everything. Together." And for the first time, Helena believed him. The following days were tense. The rumor about the witch of Santa Helena spread through the village like wildfire. At the market, vendors refused to serve Helena. On the street, women crossed to the other side when they saw her. Even the priest, Father Domingos, a normally kind man, looked at her with reserve. Joaquin faced it all alongside her, but the price was getting high. Suppliers started delaying deliveries. A buyer backed out of a cattle lot. One of the ranch hands, pressured by his family, quit. Helena saw it all and felt the weight of guilt grow. One September morning, she found Joaquin on the porch, looking out at the fields. He looked older, more tired. "Joaquin," she called, her voice low. He turned. "I need to go," she said before her courage vanished. "No," he replied immediately. "Listen." "No, Helena." He came down the steps, approaching her. "You're not leaving, not because of them. It's because of you." she cried, surprising herself. "I'm destroying your life, don't you see?" "My life was already destroyed," Joaquin answered, his voice hard but honest. "Before you arrived, I was just existing, Helena, not living. And now I have a reason to get up in the morning. But the ranch will survive." He took her shoulders, firm but gentle. "And so will we." Helena wanted to believe him, but fear was stronger. "What if they take everything from you? What if—" "Then we start over." Joaquin interrupted her. "Somewhere else if we have to, but together." His words disarmed her. She had spent her whole life being discarded, and now there was someone willing to lose everything to stand by her side. But before she could reply, horses appeared on the horizon. It was 3 men: Inspector Almeida, the village mayor, and a court officer. They stopped in the yard, raising dust. "Mr. Esteves." The mayor dismounted, holding a paper. "We have a warrant." "A warrant for what?" Joaquin descended from the porch, tense. "Compulsory separation." The court officer read aloud. "Based on accusations of illegal medical practice and suspicion of fraudulent marriage for gain, the union between Joaquim Esteves and Helena Esteves is under investigation. Until its conclusion, Mrs. Helena must leave the property." The world seemed to stop. Helena felt her legs go weak. Joaquin turned to her, then to the men, fury rising. "This is outrageous!" He advanced, but the officer stepped back, his hand going to the gun on his belt. "Mr. Esteves, resist and you will be arrested." Joaquin stopped, trembling with contained rage. Helena descended the steps slowly, her dignity intact even under the weight of injustice. "I'll go," she said, her voice firm. "Helena, no." "I'll go," she repeated, looking at Joaquin. "But not out of fear. I'll go because I don't want you to suffer anymore because of me. You have 24 hours to leave the region," the mayor said, his voice cold. Joaquin took a step toward the men, but Helena grabbed his arm. "No!" she pleaded, her eyes full of held-back tears. "Please." He looked at her, and for the first time since they met, Joaquin felt fear. Fear of losing her. Fear of returning to that empty life. The men mounted their horses and rode away. Helena went up to her room and began to pack. Joaquin stood in the yard, helpless, as the sun sank below the horizon like a farewell. Joaquin didn't sleep. He spent the entire night in the living room, pacing back and forth, his mind working in silent fury. He couldn't let them take Helena away. Not like this, not unjustly. When the sun rose, he already knew what to do. He went upstairs and knocked on her door. Helena opened it, her eyes swollen from a sleepless night. "Put on your best dress," he said firmly. "Why?" "Because we're going to town, and we're going to fight." Joaquin hitched the wagon, and before leaving, gathered the ranch hands in the yard. Zé Arnaldo, now completely on Helena's side, was the first to speak. "Boss, we'll go with you. If you need us, we'll testify." "Me too," said another ranch hand. "My son had a fever last month. Miss Helena made him tea, took care of him, saved him." One by one, the men offered their support. Joaquin felt his chest tighten with gratitude. "Then let's go, all of us." The wagon arrived at the town square mid-morning. The presence of Joaquin, Helena, and 6 ranch hands immediately drew attention. People stopped to stare. Joaquin climbed down, helped Helena down, and headed straight for the mayor's office. The mayor was in his office when Joaquin entered without knocking. Behind him, Helena and the ranch hands. "What is this, Esteves?" the mayor asked, standing up, flustered. "This is justice," Joaquin said, placing a document on the desk. "Marriage certificate, legal, registered, witnessed. There's no fraud. She just helps. And if we're going to punish that, then let's also punish every mother who cares for a sick child, every grandmother who makes herbal tea." "I'll review the case," he mumbled. "Review it fast," Joaquin said, his voice sharp, "because my wife isn't going anywhere." The victory in town brought relief, but not complete peace. Donna Lucinda and a few other residents still looked at Helena with disdain. But something had changed. Now, there were also those who defended her openly. 2 weeks later, the storm that had been foretold by the heavy skies finally arrived. It began in the afternoon, with strong winds that bent the trees. By nightfall, the rain was falling like a punishment, filling the creeks and threatening the lower pastures. Joaquim and the ranch hands worked to move the cattle to safe ground, but the floodwaters were faster. One of the creeks overflowed, isolating 3 young heifers on a small rise surrounded by water. "They'll die if the water rises any higher," Zay shouted, trying to be heard over the roar of the rain. Joaquim looked at the scene. The wooden bridge crossing the creek was partially submerged, unstable. "I'm going," he said. "Boss, that's crazy." Simple as that. They returned across the bridge slowly, the rope between them taut as a promise. When they stepped onto dry ground, the ranch hands erupted in cheers of relief. Zay Arnaldo hugged them both, laughing and crying at the same time. "You're crazy," he shouted, "and the bravest people I've ever seen." Because we were together. The next day, the news of Helena's courage spread. Even Donna Lucinda, upon hearing it, lowered her guard. At the next market day, she approached Helena. She began, her voice trembling. "I was wrong about you." The Santa Helena Ranch was transformed. Not physically, the same fences, the same pastures, but in spirit. There was life there now. Laughter, music. Helena had finished weaving a large blanket in the colors of earth and sky, which now covered the couple's bed. Yes, the couple's. The room that had been hers alone had been abandoned. Now they slept together in the room that had belonged to Joaquim and Beatrice, but which was now theirs alone. One spring morning, Helena woke up feeling something different, a slight nausea, a brief dizziness. Joaquim noticed immediately. "Are you all right?" "I thought I'd never..." That night, gathered around the kitchen table, now always filled with food and warmth, Jake raised a glass of wine. "To us," he said, "to Helena, to the bravest woman I know, to the woman who brought life back into this home." Helena, her eyes shining, lifted her glass of juice. "And to the man who taught me that dignity isn't given, it's earned, and that true love doesn't need fancy words, just sincere actions." They toasted. And in that moment, surrounded by friends and the warmth of the fire, Helena knew she was home, not because the ranch was hers, but because there, finally, she belonged. The next morning, Jake found her in the barn, working at the loom. She was weaving a new blanket, as blue as a spring sky. "Who's that for?" he asked. "For our baby," she replied, smiling. "Boy or girl, whoever God sends." Jake sat beside her, simply watching the rhythmic motion of the pedals, the yarn weaving into a perfect pattern. "Helena," he called softly. She paused, turned to him. "Thank you," he said, "for staying, for fighting, for teaching me how to live again." Helena took his hand, squeezing it tight. "It's home now," she said, simple and true. And it was. Finally, it was. Outside, the tree Helena had planted months ago, a small, fragile sapling, was now growing strong, its branches reaching towards the sun, just like them, just like that love, born from pain, but bloomed in healing. The Santa Elena Ranch finally had a mistress, and a heart that beat anew. What would you do in their shoes? Comment and share with someone special. If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to receive new stories every day.